Hey guys, I'm John Setzler. Welcome back to the Kamado Joe Cooking Channel. Today we are going to have a non-cooking video, and we're going to talk about one of the things that I think everybody needs to know just a little bit more about, and that is barbecue rubs. There are a lot of really fantastic barbecue rubs on the market, and I'm sure you've had a lot of them already, and I know I have. I've tried a lot of the major brands of barbecue rubs on the market, and there's some really phenomenal stuff out there. But if you haven't tried making your own barbecue rub yet, it's time to do that. You need to give it a try, because you can make really fantastic rubs at home very easily, and most of the time you can make them at a fraction of the cost of what the commercial rubs sell for. Today I'm going to show you how to make my own personal pork rub. I call this the Man Cave pork rub. It's a very easy to make rub, and it has a lot of flavor that it brings to things like ribs and pulled pork barbecue. So let's have a look at the ingredients that are going to go in this rub. The first ingredient that's a basis for just about all of my rubs is salt, and I'm going to start this with 1 cup of kosher salt, and I use the fine grain salt on this. I don't use the coarse grain. And I actually make 2 versions of this rub. I make one with salt and one without salt, in case I want to pre-salt my meat with a brine, a wet brine or a dry brine, because if you've done that, you want to leave the salt out of your rub to keep from over salting the meat. The next primary ingredient in this pork rub is a sugar, and I am using 1/2 cup of turbinado sugar, and I prefer the turbinado sugar over table sugar in most cases, because it tends to not scorch quite as easily as table sugar does at higher temperatures. But if you don't have turbinado sugar, you can use regular table sugar. The third ingredient in this rub is black pepper, and I'm using 1/2 cup of freshly cracked black pepper. My next ingredient is paprika, which brings a nice pepper flavor to this rub, and it also brings a nice red color element, so I am using a 1/2 cup of paprika. One of my secret ingredients for my rub is Tang instant breakfast drink mix. I am using a 1/2 cup of Tang instant breakfast drink because it brings additional sweetness, and it brings a wonderful color element and aroma element to this pork rub. The sweet orange here really brings a nice flavor to the meat. Our next ingredient is 1/4 cup of chili powder, which brings a little bit of pepper to this to help balance out some of that sweetness that we've put in here. We're going to follow that with 1/4 cup of onion powder. And then we're going to bring some additional savory balance to this rub with 1/4 cup of granulated garlic. And our final ingredient to bring out the savory balance here is I've got 2 tablespoons of cayenne pepper. And now we're going to bring a couple of other sweetness elements to this. I've got 2 tablespoons of ground cocoa. I've got 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. And I've got 2 teaspoons of ground clove. And with all that in the mixing bowl, all I'm going to do is take my whisk and whisk that together completely till it's completely mixed. And once that's mixed, I'm just going to funnel that into a big mason jar. And that was a perfect fill for 1 mason jar completely full. And I'm just going to put the lid on that. We're going to seal that, and this will keep for a very long time. You can keep that probably for 6 months, as long as you keep it dry and keep it in the dark. You want to keep that away from light and keep it dry. So there we have a very large amount of homemade rub. So for just a few dollars in ingredients, we have a big mason jar full of rub. Like I said, it's at a fraction of the cost of what your commercial rubs might cost you. And this rub is one, like I said, that's really good. I'd love for you to give this a try. You can make several versions of this rub. Like I said, I make a version of this with no salt in it in case I'm going to pre-salt my meat. I also make a version of this where I leave the sugar out, or just put just a little bit of sugar in it, because if you're going to cook at a temperature of 300 degrees or higher, you want a lower sugar rub to help keep that from scorching. And this rub is definitely a sweet rub, which complements pork very well. If you want to make a beef rub, you've got a lot of options also, and one of the staple beef rubs here at my house is a 50-50 mixture of salt and ground black pepper, and then I just put in a little onion powder, a little garlic powder, and a little cayenne pepper just to taste, and make a very simple beef rub. You don't want to put sweet ingredients in your beef rubs too often, because that does not complement the natural savory flavors of the beef. Poultry rubs are a little different. Poultry rubs tend to have a lot more aromatics. You'll find thyme, you'll find a lot of sage and things like that in your poultry rubs, along with garlic, salt, pepper. And most of your poultry rubs don't go for the reddish color. They stay a lighter color. So once again, it's time to try your hand at making your own rubs. So give this one a try. I'm going to put the recipe for this in the video description on YouTube, so you can copy and paste that out if you like. And until next time, this is John Setzler with the Kamado Joe Cooking Channel.